So in a very general sense, web caching is saving a copy of a web page so that the same calculations don't have to be done over and over. So what do I mean by that? Basically, when a server gets a request for a web page from a computer, it does a few calculations, probably accesses its database, and then sends that back to the computer. But if you've got a web page that changes a lot, where you need to do a lot of calculations, and you're also getting like thousands of requests a second, then it's inefficient to do the calculations every single time you want to send a web page back to the user. So that's where web caching comes in. If I add a web cache into the equation, the first time it doesn't look that different. The first time it gets a request, the computer asks for a web page, the cache asks the server gives the web page back to the cache, and the cache sends it all the way back to the computer. But what happens is the cache will keep a copy of that web page in its own storage, and then when a new computer asks for the same web page, it can just send it straight back without having to make the server do the calculations again and figure out what the web page should look like again. Then it'll keep that in its system for a second, maybe half a second, maybe even half an hour, depending on the system. But it'll keep it for a predefined amount of time, and then when a new request comes in, it will follow the server again. The server has to do the calculations, and then it can come back to the cache with a new copy, an updated copy of the web page that the cache can keep using. And why does this matter for security? Well, if you remember, in December of 2015, Steam had a problem where a user would log in and then see someone else's homepage. Basically what they did is they changed their caching system so that a user would log in, the server would give them the login credentials, send them the homepage, and then the cache would keep that login homepage for a different user that came along. And even though it was a different login, the cache would send back the cached version of the login page. So that's web caching in a nutshell.